Starting in your back, knees bent, feet flat on the floor. Connection with your tailbone to your mat. Letting your shoulders release into the support of the ground beneath you. Let your back start to relax. Softening through the jaw, the shoulders. Letting the body feel heavy. And maybe you experiment around for the placement of your hands. You might have a natural inclination to place them in a specific spot. And either find a focal point on the ceiling or whatever's above you, or gently begin to let your eyes drift closed. As your eyelids close, imagine the body letting go into the support of your practice surface beneath you. Starting at the top of the body, work your awareness down and acknowledge each of your contact points with the ground. Head, upper back, or backs of the shoulders, shoulder blades, hips and tailbone in whatever capacity they're touching, and feet. And scan your way back up, acknowledging those same contact points. Moving through. If you've chosen to rest your hands on the ground, those are a contact point as well. Beginning to notice the flow of your breath. The hands are not on the abdomen. Maybe you bring one there, encouraging the breath to come in deeper. Noticing if with each exhale you're able to release a little tension, maybe from the face, the shoulders, the jaw. Taking one more breath before we begin to move. And gently use an exhale to pull your knees in to where you can take a hold of them with your hands. And then use your hands to pull them in a little bit closer to you, rocking lightly from side to side. Massaging the back, the tailbone. Many of us hold stress in our hips and our shoulders, which carries into our back, inviting some of that to begin to release there. Coming into stillness in the center. And then transferring your hands to one leg, either front or back of the shin or the thigh, and just pull that leg a little closer, letting the other one stay right where it is. Release that pull, switch your hands to the other leg, and gently pull that one in. Bringing the legs together once again, bring the palms to your knees, fingers point towards your toes, and begin to circle out your hips by separating the knees, pulling them in close, bringing the legs together and pressing the knees away. Starting at whatever size circle feels good to you, and shifting the size of the circle as this movement begins to release tension as you warm up the hips. Next time your legs come together and you have your knees pressed away from you, reverse the direction of your circles. And the knees are away from you once again. Bring the legs to tabletop. Holding them there, sweep your arms out to the sides along the floor. Reach up overhead. And then inhale, reach up to the sky. Exhale, reach for your knees. Let your hands pass your knees as they come down alongside the hips. Inhale, sweep the arms out to the sides, reach up overhead. Exhaling as you arrive here. Inhale, lift the arms to reach up for the sky. Exhale, lower them down alongside your body. Follow your own breath here in these circles from the hip. Pausing with the arms overhead, reaching up. Keep the movement going at a pace that feels good in the shoulders. Notice if the range of motion is a little different in the two sides of the body. You can always set your feet down on the ground if your lower abs are getting tired of the engagement. Either way works. And switching the direction of your circles. Continuing to bring relaxation and release into the jaw, the back, feeling that support. Check in with your connection between tailbone and mat. Pausing the next time the hands can easily set onto the knees, drawing the legs in once again. Rocking lightly from side to side. And as you exhale, draw your forehead towards your knees, curling yourself into a ball. Inhale, lengthen yourself out all the way onto your mat, sweeping your arms overhead. Taking a full body stretch. Notice where you may find tension. Inhale, bend the knees, bring the feet to the mat. As you exhale, sweep your arms down alongside your body. Moving through some supine cat-cows here. So tucking the tailbone under, pressing the small of the back to the mat. And then as you inhale, press that tailbone into the mat. Lift the lower spine and the abdomen so you get a lot of space between the low back and your mat. Initiate the movement from the tailbone here as you follow your breath. Tucking and untucking. Working with the low back. Releasing stress. The advantage of doing this on the ground like this is there's actual pressure on that tailbone. That nerve center that rests at the base of the spine. Moving one or two more times here in that tuck. If you feel the desire to heavily tuck and lift your hips off of the mat, and sway a little bit from side to side, that's an option. Keeping the mid-back down. Letting the hips down once again, if you like. Exhale, pull the knees into you. Gently let yourself drift over onto one side. Take your top hands to press yourself up. Walking your hands in, coming into mermaid pose here. Legs are stacked. Hands are to the side, fingers point towards the short edge of the mat. Option to begin to lift your gaze and lower your gaze. Starting to make movement in the neck, stretching out the upper spine. walking the hands in even more to bring the torso upright, coming around onto the sits bones, lengthening out the legs, finding a staff pose. Hands stay down, staying strong and tall here. Release tension from the shoulder, adjusting to being upright. Notice the connection between the sits bones, the tailbone, and the mat is still there. We have not asked to break that connection yet. Maybe you look over one shoulder at a time here, bringing some sideways movement into the neck. Coming back to stillness if you have the head moving. Gently take the feet to the opposite side. Walk your hands away from the feet, coming into mermaid pose on the other side. Noticing that twist in the back, that grounding down through the bottom hip. The tailbone's probably lifted slightly, that's okay. One more breath in mermaid pose right here. Again, if there's any head and neck movements you feel you need, welcome those into this final pattern of breath. And then untwist, returning to staff pose, feet straight out in front of you, actively pulling the legs towards each other, squeezing them together like you're trying to burst a balloon between your legs. Sitting up nice and tall, option to reach your arms out in front of you like a sleepwalker. Let your shoulder blades separate here. Pull your collarbones together. And then as you exhale, press the air away. Open your arms out to a T or further, squeezing the shoulder blades together. Turn the palms forward. Pull those arms in. Let the palms touch. Broaden through the shoulder blades. Turn the palms out as you press the air away, opening to a T or your shoulder range of motion. Moving with your own breath here. A couple more times. Next time your hands are reaching forward, continue that forward momentum. Reach forward as far as you can. Light bend in the knees is fine, and then set your hands down wherever they reach. Let your head draw between your arms, finding a stretch in the back and the legs. Breathing into the stretch. One more breath here. Then as you complete that breath, slide your hands up your legs. Just sit up tall. Bend your right knee in and set the right foot to the outside of your left leg. Pressing that foot down. Support yourself with your right hand on the mat as you inhale, reach your left arm up. Lengthen through the left side body. Actually lean to the right a little bit. And then inhale up to the center. Exhale, lower your left elbow to your right knee. You don't need to twist in the spine much more than this unless you want to leverage the twist. Next time you breathe in, reach that left hand up. Exhale to set it down alongside your left hip. Inhale here and exhale to lengthen that right leg out next to your left, returning to staff pose. Inhaling, and as you exhale, switching sides, bending into the left knee, setting the foot to the outside of the right leg. Supporting yourself with your right hand, the left hand as you breathe, right hand begins to reach up on an inhale, and the elbow lowers to the bent knee on the exhale. Again, as much or as little twisting here as you want. leveraged or unleveraged. Next time you breathe in, reach it up. Circle that arm back to set the hand down for support as you uncross the legs and lengthen that left one out. Inhale, reach forward. Keep reaching forward as you exhale. Finishing the exhale to set the hands down in a comfortable place. Inhale, halfway lift, lengthen through your back as if you were standing on your flexed feet. Exhale, refold. Inhale, reach the arms out to a T, sit up tall, option to keep reaching the arms towards the ceiling or keep them at the T. Exhale, lead with your chest, swan dive forward as if you were standing, sweep the arms towards the feet. Bend the knees here, draw your chest and your lats closer together. Much bend in your knees as you need to make that happen. Flexed feet. Notice the stretch in the calves. Maybe there's even a stretch in the ankles or the feet themselves. Inhale to sit up, optionally straightening those knees. As you exhale, bring the bottoms of your feet together, coming into bound angle for a couple of breaths. Sitting up tall, not putting any downward pressure here, just opening the hips to the side. Finding that external rotation, shoulders over hips, sitting up tall. And then gently using an exhale to bring your knees together. Send your feet to one side, coming over to hands and knees. Moving through a couple cat-cows if you'd like, some hip circles, any organic movements that feel nice to you. Relieving pressure on the wrists by spreading the fingers wider. Finding those movements that work. Taking things forward and back. And when you feel ready, send your hips back to your heels into child's pose. Notice how your back feels now, with back to the sky rather than back to the mat. Keep your fingers out towards the edges of your mat, widening the arms. And press into the palms. Lift the elbows off the ground if you have them on the ground. Really press yourself back. Notice that activation in your shoulders and upper back. Notice any tension that might be happening there. Invite the tension to release from the shoulders. If you lose tension in the arms, press back in with the palms. Keep inviting tension to release from the upper back. Release any pressing into the hands and walk them in line with the shoulders. Notice the stretches you may encounter as one shoulder tighter than the other. Inhale, take your gaze towards the top of your mat. Exhale here. As you inhale, slide yourself forward, lifting the elbows along the way, coming onto your belly. Hands end up by the ribs. Exhaling here. Inhale, baby cobra. Exhale to release you. Inhale, lifting a little higher. Exhale, release. Inhale, lift to what is your range of motion this morning. Tuck your toes under. Exhale, send your tailbones up, down dog. Bend your knees on the way back. So that as you complete and enter your expression of the pose this morning, your knees are deeply bent, your back is straight. Breathing into the space here. Shifting forward to a plank pose. And using an exhale to lower down. Once again, inhale up into cobra. Come to your range of motion. tuck the toes under. Exhale, bend the knees on your way back, downward dog. One more circle this way. Inhale, plank pose. Exhale as you lower. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, bent knee down dog. Knees stay bent in the transition and the completion. Take your next breath cycle to travel to the top of your mat. Take your time. Entering ragdoll as you arrive, taking a hold of opposite elbows, letting the body hang. Next time you inhale, half lift, hands come to shins or thighs, lengthen from the crown of your head to the tip of your tailbone. And as you exhale, bend your knees and fold. Reach back to the back of your calves or ankles. Inhale here, straightening the knees as you exhale. Inhale, bend the knees, reverse a swan dive. Come all the way up to standing. Upward hands pose, maybe a small back bend at the top. Exhale, hands come to heart center. Settling yourself in here. Check in. Notice how you feel. Notice how it feels to have your only contact point with your ground be your feet. The change from where we spent the last 20 minutes. Inhale, reach down, out, and up. Exhale, lean to your right in a standing crescent. Inhale up to the center. Exhale, lean to your left. Inhale up to the center. Exhale, hands come down through the midline as you hinge from the hip and forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, hands plant on the mat. Left foot goes back on a 45-degree angle, bending into the right knee. Inhale, press into the outside edge of that back left foot. Exhale, bring your hands up to your thighs. Start to lift your torso. Inhale here, even out that weight distribution to 50-50 between the feet. And on an exhale, bring the hands up overhead if you'd like the extra weight, or to your heart center if you're not quite ready for the extra weight. Keep pressing through the outside edge of that back foot. Make any adjustments with the width or length of your stance that you may need here. Breathing into the space, and as you settle in, shift your awareness to your hips. Think about drawing your right hip back, your left hip forward. Keeping the weight up overhead, adding in some movement. Inhale here. Exhale, bend the elbows into deity arms. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, elbows bend. Shoulder blades move towards each other. Inhale, reach up. Last one. Exhale, bend. Inhale, turn your fingers so they point down towards the ground. That movement comes from your shoulder. Exhale, clasp your hands behind you. Inhale, lift your collarbones, and as you exhale, hinge forward into humble warrior. Breathing in humble for a moment, settling the gaze on the ground beneath you. And then take your left hand down to the ground. Reach your right hand up towards the sky, or leave it right where it was. Notice how this shifts your posture. One more breath right here. And then the next time you breathe out, set that right hand down on the ground. Pivot on your back foot so you come onto the ball of the foot. Exhale, step back, downward facing dog. Inhale, shift forward into plank. Exhale, lowering down. Inhale, up dog or cobra. Exhale, down dog. Walking your way or lightly floating to the top of your mat into a forward fold. Exhaling into it. Inhale, reverse your swan dive. Stand tall. Exhale, swan dive forward. Forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, bring your hands to the mat, bending your knees as you send your right foot behind you on a 45-degree angle. Hands transfer to the knees as you breathe in, lifting the torso up, pausing here. Press to the outside edge of that right foot, finding your stability, your evenness, and using an inhale to raise the arms overhead if you'd like the extra weight, or bringing hands to heart center. Adjusting your stance as you may need here to achieve that 50-50 comfortable weight distribution. Drawing the left hip back, the right one forward. And once again, introducing that arm movement, bending the elbows on an exhale. Inhale to reach overhead. Exhale, elbows bend. Inhale, reach up. One more. Exhale, bend the elbows. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, sweep the arms behind you to clasp. Inhale, lift the collarbone. You exhale, hinge forward, humble warrior. Finding your stability, your base here. Breathing into humble. And then setting your right hand down on the mat under your shoulder. Without twisting, you may reach that left arm up, out to the side, or leave it right where it is. Finding stability here. Next in-breath releases your left hand to the mat, pivoting on that right foot so that when you exhale, the left foot can go back, downward facing dog. Take time here, pedal out your feet. Inhale, raise onto the balls of both feet, feeling that length in your spine. As you exhale, bend your knees, draw your weight back. Option to begin straightening the knees if you'd like. Inhale, forward to plank, shoulders over your hands. Exhale as you lower down. Inhale, cobra or up dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Next time you breathe in, take the gaze forward, walk or float your way to the top of the mat. Exhaling into the fold. Inhale, reverse your swan dive, reaching up into upward hand pose. As you exhale, lean to your left. Inhale up to the center. Exhale, lean to your right. Inhale up to the center. Exhale, swan dive forward. Hands return to the ground. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, plant your hands. Right foot goes back in line with your left. So you can pivot your hips open towards the long edge of the mat, bending the left knee as you rise to warrior two. Arms come off the shoulders. Working the alignment of your feet that works for you, pressing to the outside edge of the right foot for stability. Notice where your front knee and front toes are in relation to each other. And then notice where your back knee and toes are in relation to each other. Settle in. Inhale, bend that front elbow. Exhale, take it down to the knee as you sweep the right arm up and over. Inhale, warrior two. Arms come off the shoulders as you exhale, reverse your warrior. Inhale, warrior two, straightening the front knee. Exhale, keep reaching forward until you can't reach any more forward. Then set that hand down, finding your triangle pose. Inhale, bend into that front knee first, lifting up to warrior two. Exhale, pivot your feet through the center to take warrior two on the right side. Staying here for a breath, and then inhale, bend that elbow down to the thigh. Exhale, sweep the left arm up and over. Inhale to warrior two. Exhale as you reverse your warrior, back hand drifts down. Inhale, warrior two, straightening that front knee. As you exhale, start to reach forward until you can't reach forward anymore. Then set that hand down, coming into triangle, stacking the arms. Breathing here. Inhale, bend into the front knee, lift to the torso, warrior two. Exhale, bring the feet to parallel. Hips are now facing the long edge of the mat. Inhale, arms reach up overhead. As you exhale, draw your hands down your midline, hinging from the hip, wide leg forward fold. Hanging out here for a couple of breaths. Notice what you feel, what comes up for you, what you find. One more breath. And then on an inhale, transfer your hands to your thighs. Exhale, press your thighs away, lengthening through the back. Inhale, pull your heels in, point your toes out as you bend your knees, and exhale to sit back into a wide squat. Inhale, arms reach up overhead. Exhale, bend through the elbows into deity pose. Holding here. Releasing tension from head, neck, jaw. Sinking a little bit lower for one more breath. Inhale, straighten knees and elbows, 5-pointed star. Exhale, feet to parallel. Inhale, arms come up. As you exhale, sweep your arms back behind you to clasp your hands. Inhale here. And as you exhale, hinge from your hips, forward fold. Your choice whether the hands stay by the tailbone or lift away from the body. Taking another breath here. The hands are away from the body, lower them towards the back. Inhale, half lift, pull those heels in as you bend your knees, sit back, a wide squat, hands are still behind you. Inhale, sweep the arms up overhead. Exhale, bend the elbows, deity pose. Inhale, 5-pointed star. Turn those back toes in, front toes towards the front of your mat. Exhale, warrior two. Inhale here. Exhale, cartwheel your hands down, frame your front foot, step it back, downward facing dog. Inhale, shift forward through plank. Exhale, down dog. Lower your knees to your mat and sit back into a child's pose, taking 2 to 3 breaths here. Noticing what you find, what you feel like. Walk your hands over to the right side of your mat, optionally stacking left hand on right. And then stick your left hand all the way to the left edge of the mat. Stack your right hand near or on top of it, stretching through the other side of the body. Transitioning back to a more traditional child's pose, hands in line with the shoulders or a little wider. Forehead rests on your mat. Press into your palms once again, drawing your tailbone closer to your heel. Inhale, step your hands into your knees, fingers point toward the front of the mat as you straighten your elbows, lift the collarbones and the gaze to the wall in front of you. Notice the scoop in your back. Next time you exhale, eliminate that scoop, pulling the belly button towards the spine. Inhale, transfer your hands up to your thighs, bring your shoulders over your hips. Exhaling here. Inhale, take your hands back to the mat behind you. Fingertips are fine if you're like me and have short arms. Lifting the collarbones towards the ceiling. You can fold back as far as is available to you here. If you want to stay more upright, just right on those fingertips, that's perfectly fine with me. If you'd like to fold all the way down to the floor, you can also do that, or anywhere in between. If you choose to tilt your head back, honor your neck and its request. When it says it's done, gently bring the head to neutral, taking the gaze in front of you or to where the wall and ceiling meet in front of you. One more breath here, partially lifting out of wherever you are on the next breath, using another cycle to come back to hero pose. Option to tuck your toes under if you want that foot stretch. And then setting your hands down onto the mat in front of you, coming into tabletop, moving through a cat-cow, pressing the tops of the feet into the mat. Finding a nice neutral back, neutral spine. Inhale, reach your right arm straight out in front. As you exhale, drape it through between your left arm and leg, setting the shoulder down, threading the needle. Option to take that left arm up and over the back, reaching for the right hip. One more breath here. And set that left hand down on the mat if it moved away. Press yourself up, circling the right arm around in a giant circle. Releasing the hand to the mat. Inhale, reach the left arm out in front of you. Exhale, drape it through between the right arm and leg, setting the left shoulder to the mat. Option to stay right here, or sweep that right arm up and over, reaching around for the left hip. Finishing your breath cycle by inhaling that arm around, reaching over your back. Exhaling to press yourself up, coming back to hands and knees, moving through an optional cat-cow. And then shifting forward to a knees down plank, lowering yourself to the mat, stacking your hands under your forehead if that's more comfortable. Finding length in the back body. Feeling the breath connect to the mat. Feeling the depth of your breath press into your mat, like your abdomen. Just stay still, or if you'd like a little movement and back release here, bend your knees, sweep your feet from side to side. When you're ready, bring your feet to the midline, hands on either side of your rib cage. Lengthen that leg out as you press yourself up, cobra pose. Lowering back down, coming to the forearms here. You can stay in Sphinx, or if you'd like to come into half frog, gently start to bend your right knee, drawing it up to the side. Staying here for about 3 breaths and then switching sides on your own time. As you move into the other side of frog, or move out of it entirely if you have a faster breath pattern, find the movements that feel good to release any remaining tension from back, hips, shoulders. Bringing both legs together and long. Eventually letting yourself rest back down onto the mat, hands stacked under forehead. Feeling that lengthening in the back of the neck. That's different than when we actively look down at something like a piece of technology. Let the body soften into the support of your mat. releasing the hold in the glutes and hips. Next time you breathe in, bend through your right knee, drawing your right heel towards your right glute. This might be enough to activate your quad and your hamstring right here. You can also reach back with your right hand to grab a hold. Coming out if the hamstring starts to cramp, and then entering back in. Straightening out that right knee, releasing any holding you may be doing. Switching to the other side, bending the left knee so the heel comes closer to the glute. Noticing what you find. Add the bent right knee in alongside the bent left leg. Inhale, sweep your arms back. Reach for your feet, even if you can't grab a hold. It's okay. Reaching back. Releasing everything down, stacked hands under the forehead. Nice long body. Releasing that tension out. Taking a breath or two more right where you are. And then coming on to the left forearm, draw the left arm underneath you. Fingers point to the right, elbows underneath the shoulder. Roll onto your left side here and actively reach your right arm up to the sky. Reach it up overhead. Reach up to the sky. And then reach it down like you're trying to reach for your toes. Feel the left side body lift off the ground here. Come back onto the stomach. Bring that right arm parallel to the left, right elbow under the shoulder, fingers point to the left. Roll onto your right hip, stacking shoulder over elbow. Maybe where you stay, where you reach that left arm up overhead, back up, down like you're trying to reach and touch the side of your left foot. Finding the length here in the side body. Bringing the left hand down to the mat, returning onto the abdomen. Forearms become parallel, coming into Sphinx pose. Lifting the collarbones, optionally lifting the elbows just an inch off the ground or less. If that gets into your low back, please release them back down to the ground. One more breath right where you are. And then tuck the toes under. Lift the lower body off of the mat entirely. So abdomen and toes are the lowest points of the mat contact. Then press yourself up on your forearms. Set your knees down. Transition over onto one side, bending your knees in. Let your bottom arm become a pillow for your head. Preventing a tilt forward, that top arm may rest down. Take a breath or two here. And then let yourself roll open from the top body into a supine twist. Right arm reaches to the right. Moving just the lower body, bring the legs up to the center and shift them over to the other side. Inhale the legs up to the center and the hands to the knees, returning to where we started today. Circling out the hips. I'm giving you your choice of poses here. You're warmed up for either happy baby or bridge or both. They sound nice to you. Taking the opportunity to take a breath or two in one or both of those poses. Eventually settling the back down onto the mat. Knees are welcome to stay bent right here. Hands find a comfortable place. If you'd rather lengthen your body out entirely, that's an option as well. Letting the body relax into the support of your mat. Closing your eyes if that's comfortable for you. Letting the feet relax. Feeling the ground beneath your contact points. Resisting the urge to wiggle or fidget once you arrive in your final resting posture. Anything else will be there when you finish. Really beginning to notice the sounds in your practice space around you. noticing any textures, and beginning to introduce small movements into the body. Wiggling your fingers and toes, gradually increasing the size of your movements. Moving more parts of the body. Eventually ending up over on one side for a couple of breaths. Making your transition to join me in a seated posture. Settling in. Once again, noticing the connection between the sits bones and the practice surface beneath you. Checking in with your breath. Letting your breath fill your awareness. And beginning to count the breaths. 1 as you inhale, 1 as you exhale. Going up to 10. Letting go of the technique, letting the mind wander when you complete 10 full breaths. Feeling that breath move through your body. And if other thoughts pop in between counts, return to the last count you remember. When you complete your 10 rounds of breath, let your awareness drift around, observing without judgment what the mind is drawn to. And gently guide your awareness back to your mat, to your practice space, into yourself. Follow your next inhale and exhale as they move through the body. And then use the next inhale to sweep your arms out and up overhead. And exhale your hands to your heart center. Take a moment to thank yourself for putting the effort in to not only show up, but be an active participant in your wellness today. I wish each and every one of you peace and calm and safety. Namaste.